Rick, this is the fifth time you guys have had 18 or more turnovers since the All-Star break. Why do you feel like that's been such a problem for you guys in many of these recent games?
Some of these games we haven't had some of our main guys due to injuries and other things, and that's a factor. And look, we've got some guys that are getting experience, and oftentimes getting experience is painful. And turnovers, unfortunately, can be a significant part of it.
Jarace has had more success getting to the cup recently. Pascal was talking to us about his straight line drives a couple of games ago. Tonight he made 4 twos and had some free throws. Where are you seeing him develop in that way, in that part of his game, the last month, couple weeks, et cetera?
Yeah, he's exerting more vertical force on the rim. That's very positive. For him, it comes down to continuing to learn to read the game. There were a couple tonight where he drove into trying to make something positive happen, drove into crowds. And, these guys, last 10 games, I think they're turning the opponent over more than any team in the league. So everybody got in some trouble tonight with turnovers, but it happened a couple times to him. And, we'll just keep showing him the film and working on reads and situational stuff in practice and try to get everybody better.
We asked about Micah Potter last game. I guess he goes again for 18 and 9 tonight. What do you like about just the way he continues to kind of stack solid performances?
Solid is the word. Micah's, that's what he is. He's solid. He's a no-frills player. He doesn't try to be fancy out there. He plays the game. He works to play to his strengths. I like that he's a stretch big that can also legitimately play some 4. That's a very good thing. And these guys are getting great opportunity right now. Guys like him are taking advantage of it, and so everybody's watching really close.
You've obviously had some lineups with he and Jay out there at the same time. Obviously, that's kind of by necessity with some of the other guys you're missing. But what do you like about what they've been able to do so far? What have been some of the challenges, and what do you think has been maybe possibly useful at it?
There's been good stretches, and there's been some rough ones. When it's good, generally we have good rim protection. We rebound well. And those two guys are very skilled. They can play together. They have the feel for the game where they can do that. We can get in a little bit of trouble if the other team is small and very fast, but that's the battle you're trying to win. You're trying to use length versus speed and smaller guys. So, I don't have a lot of direct examples. I will cite the Brooklyn game as a game, down the stretch where they played together, and we came back in the fourth quarter and won that game, and so that was one of the very positive stretches.
Obi plays 11 minutes, had 5 assists. What do you like about just the ball moving that he's bringing into this, basically, and what kind of just positive, I guess, examples that show when a guy steps in like that and makes that kind of an impact as a passer?
He's a special player. He impacts the game in a lot of ways. His rebounding has really improved. His defense has really improved. And then, the running and the natural movement and feel and his length, he sets a low side screen, rolls. Guys have confidence to throw it to him because he'll just go up and get it. And then he's able to make a split-second decision and either, they get the ball in the basket or kick it out to somebody for a good shot. So, this is going to be a bit arduous, the minutes restriction and kind of inching it along, but it's absolutely essential. And we've just got to look at the big picture and be patient.
I believe this was Kam Jones' first double-double of his career, 10 points and assists. What are you seeing from him and how he's growing as a player?
Yeah, he's learning a lot. He's figuring a lot of things out. There's a lot of speed in the game tonight, and so tonight, there was the adjustment for him was he had to face constant ball pressure the entire game. Adjusted well to it, ends up with a double-double, and it's pretty clear when you watch him play that he has a certain kind of old school moxie for the game. He's not real flashy. He does it with skill, knowledge, and change of speed, and so he's a tricky player to guard, and he's very deceptive.
Jarace, in general, for you guys as a team, I think this is the 5th time you guys have had 16 or more turnovers since just the All-Star break. Where are you seeing breakdowns, whether it's passing ball, handling in general, that are leading to such high numbers there?
I feel like it starts off with spacing, just filling the corners, and then just making a simple play. But at the same time, I feel like the Grizzlies did a good job of flying around, beating the gaps, making plays. They have a lot of handsy guards that are real active with their hands, so I feel like they did a good job tonight.
Rick and Pascal both talked about your own growth with straight line drives, but also driving into crowds at the same time. Where do you feel like you're balancing the improvements with drives, but also what you do when you actually get there?
Yeah, it's all a learning process. I feel like I've been growing in both departments. I feel like first half, definitely drove into some crowds. I feel like second half I did a better job of taking care of the ball, getting to where I needed to get to, and making the right play.
How challenging is it to feel out what is needed from you in these last couple games? There's different guys every night, different lineups every couple minutes.
You just got to play the game. I feel like the game always talks to you. You just play it the right way, make the simple plays, don't try to force anything. But I feel like it just comes down to, no matter who's out there, not changing the mindset, just going into every game the same, and then just, kind of not feeling it out, but always being ready to start the game with force, and then just kind of just read and react. I feel like basketball does a good job of talking to you, telling you what's needed on nightly basis.
How do you think you're doing a better job of making those reads, of seeing what it's telling you? How do you feel like you've improved in that over the course of this year?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like it starts with catch and shoot opportunities. If they're not there, shoot it. If they are, I feel like I've been doing a better job of catching and going, just making quick decisions, just not catching and holding. I feel like that's the biggest thing. And then just being able to read the defenses. Like I said, close out short, shoot it. If not, try to get downhill.
Well, to go back to the turnovers, I imagine a big part of this is trying to figure out chemistry on the fly with different groups of guys. Where do you feel like you guys are struggling with that, or where do you feel like you guys are making improvements game to game?
Yeah, I feel like we definitely made improvements as a team because, like y'all remember our first game, without a lot of the guys versus Houston, we only scored like 70-some points or something like that. So just being able to play with each other, we're all learning. We got a lot of rookies out there, even some guys with not that much experience playing a lot of minutes. So I feel like we just got to continue to fill each other out and just keep growing as a team.
Micah Potter goes for 18 and 9 tonight. He seems like he stacked a couple pretty good games. What do you guys like about what he's been able to bring, the shooting and just the rebounding? Just how do you feel like he's helped you guys out?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like he's definitely able to stretch the floor, make quick decisions. If he's not shooting it, he's getting off it, setting screens, rolling, popping. I feel like he's done a better job as of late, just reading whether to pop or roll. And then he definitely helps with our spacing on the floor, being able to knock down open shots.
Chad Buchanan mentioned back in December, I think it was, when you had a conversation in Houston with Kelvin Sampson, kind of like the turning point he felt for you this season. Do you kind of remember what that conversation was and how much you feel like you've grown as a player since then?
I wouldn't say I remember the exact conversation, but I remember the game going over there like it was yesterday. Just the love. He said he was real proud. He felt like I could keep growing and getting better, but he basically told me just to hoop, just play my game. I've been doing that since a kid, and I feel like that's when us players are at our best, when we're not thinking, we're just hooping. So he basically put that in my ear, and I feel like it stuck with me.
Jarace, a couple games ago, I talked to Pascal about the growth he's seen in you, and I was kind of just curious, what has it meant to kind of have him as a teammate and as a mentor that you can kind of look up to and talk to throughout the season?
Yeah, you wouldn't want anybody else. NBA champion, All-Star, max contract. He's done it all. So just having that close connection with him, being able to watch him day to day, but then also listen and take advice, it's been special. And I feel like we'll continue to grow that relationship and on and off the floor and continue to grow and get better. But I feel like just anytime he's around, just watching, just noticing little habits, little things, and then he's definitely helped me get better over the year.
Came in 11 assists a couple of games ago, 10 tonight. The lineups keep changing around you, but you've had some productive passing games recently. Where do you like that you've grown when it comes to reading the game and distributing, and where do you still feel like you need to take some steps?
I would say as I've been getting more and more reps, the game is just kind of slowing down for me. So the reads are, a lot easier to make just by, getting game time, getting game reps, these past few games. I just need to get better at hitting my teammates on time, on target, and, a lot of defenders are very, very lanky, and they love to use their hands and reach for the ball. So I gotta get better at countering that.
Rick said you were seeing more constant pressure tonight than maybe in some other games. How do you feel like you managed that part of the game?
We knew that was how they play. That's part of their game plan. I think there were times I was okay, times I was kind of messed us up. Got Jay a few illegal screens, so. It's just all part of the process. Just got to get better at handling that.
You said you feel like you got him the illegal screens? What do you mean by that?
It's a lot of illegal screens, are on the ball handler. Not surprisingly, but honestly, because they have to be set, and I got to wait till he's set, and I can't allow my defender to, kind of press up on me and kind of get hit in a weird way, because the refs love to call that.
As your role expands, how often do you ask Drew, Ty, TJ, et cetera, for advice on certain things or things you're seeing in the game, and how helpful have they been for you?
All the time, almost every day. Very helpful, and main thing they always tell me is it's a process, and every day your mindset should just be, what do I need to do today to be better, and to do what I need to do.
This you guys had 19 turnovers tonight. I guess what's it been like for you guys to try to create chemistry as a collective, and where do you feel like you're still struggling with that? Where do you feel like you guys have improved?
I think we've just grown with learning each other's games out on the floor, knowing what we like to do, knowing our tendencies. 19 turnovers. That's kind of Memphis. That's how they play. That's what they do. I think they probably won in turnovers for us right now. So I guess credit to them and their pressure, and it's on me. It's on us. We got to get better at handling that for sure.
Micah Potter stacked a couple good games. I think he's got 7 double-figure games in his last 8. How do you feel like he helps you guys, just especially with the way he spaces the floor when he's out there, just the shooting? How much do you feel like he gives you guys a weapon out there?
For sure, he helps us a lot. He like you said, he takes the big out a lot of the time, and he's just been letting the game come to him, taking shots that he's comfortable with and that he is confident with, and he's big with us for rebounds. He rebounds the ball well, and he's been doing a good job for us for sure.
How would you assess the way you've, played defensively? We talk a lot about the offense, the assists, the points, but defensively, how do you think you've grown, and what are maybe some areas you want to work on defensively?
I think every game, that's really my mindset, just be aggressive defensively, and if that's my mindset and I go out there and do that, it just, offense just comes, and it's tough, in this league, with, how strong these guys are coming to set screens, and, how fast some of the guards are with the ball. So I just got to keep getting better at pressing up, kind of getting over screens, defeating screens, and, I think that's something I'll definitely get better at over the years for sure.
Cam, I just asked Jarace kind of about the impact Pascal's had on him. And I'm kind of curious for you. I mean, you guys got a lot of experienced point guards on this team, whether it be Ty or TJ or Drew. Kind of what impact have they had on you and kind of your growth since joining the team?
Man, a huge impact. Sometimes I kind of think I'm annoying them, a lot of the questions I ask them. But, huge. Just, I've asked them a lot of questions about a lot of things in this league, and, they always take the time out to explain to me, what they think and what they see, and even tell me things that they've been through in their career, specifically in their rookie year.